On today's lesson, we will actually be practicing more multi-step solving equations, following up from Ms. Wheeler's lessons that she did on page 16 and 17. So hopefully you're writing this down in your front of your table of contents, page 18. It will be examples of multi-step solving equations. I will actually be doing the odds since you are going to be assigned the evens for your assignment. And so we'll be walking through this together step by step so that you have plenty of examples to look back on when you need help. So we're going to page 18. Just a reminder, the numbers on the odd pages should be on the right, and the evens will be found on the left-hand side of the page. And so we're here on question number, page 18. We'll be doing example questions here. So this is examples. Multi-step equations. And so these get harder and harder with time. That's why we always tell you, and I told you probably last year, some of you 7th graders or 8th graders, that you really needed to be good at solving equations that were simple, because these were going to get tougher and tougher and tougher, and they are. So we're going to be doing just the odds here, and so I'm going to go to example 1. And example 1 says 4 groups of 2 and 3C, and means addition, equals 56. So in the case of this, we've just pretty much got a lot of work cut out for us on the left, nothing to do on the right so far because it just equals 56. We notice that we have parentheses next to the 4, which means that we need to distribute the 4. I'm a real big proponent on drawing the arrows just to get your brain thinking about it. So this would be 4 groups of 2 and 4 groups of 3C. Most students forget the 4 on the second value. Just remember that's why I draw the arrows. The 4 has to be shared with both values. 4 groups of 2 and 4 groups of 3C would give me the same answer. I just don't know what C is. And so to get there, I have to separate these values using the distributive property. And this equals 56. So what is 4 groups of 2? 4 groups of 2 is 8, plus 4 groups of 3Cs, so that'd be 3C, 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 3C. So 4 times 3 is 12. So if you added all those up, 3 4 times would be 12 of my C's. And this has to equal 56. And just a reminder, we should be putting our line down. Sorry, my line's not real straight. I forgot that. So one more step we've got to go to, because we've got our distributive. We solved for each of these values here on the addition sides. And now we're going to say, can I add C's 8? Nope, they're not like terms. So I'm going to get rid of this 8 on the left, put it on the right, because I want to get 12C. And the goal in algebra is to get the variable isolated by itself. And remember, you do PEMDAS backwards. So I'm doing addition and subtraction before I do any multiplication or division. 56 take away 8. Well, I know that 58 minus 8 is 50, so go 2 more under, so that should give me 48. And then I notice that 12C's equals 48, so I'm going to divide both sides by 12, because the opposite of multiplication is division. And then the final step here, those are going to cancel out. And C equals, how many 12s does it take to make 48? Well, 12 and 12 is 24, another 12 is 36, and another 12 is 48. That would be 4 times. So my answer is C equals 4. So I probably need to check this out. So I'm going to plug it in. So I've got 4 groups of 2 plus 3 of my C's. And notice I'm putting that in parentheses because it's attached to the 3. And I'm using this step here. I could have used this one up here. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. But I'm going to just go ahead and use the second step on the distributive. I probably should go back up here, but that's okay. And that has to equal 56. And so that would be 8 plus, oh, sorry. I forgot my 4 groups of, whoops, forgot my 4 there. See, I did it. 4 groups of 3 C's. So that's 4 times the 12 here, which is 48. And that adds together to make 56. So even I forgot the 4 there. So we got to make sure the 4 is distributed there. 4 groups of 3 of my 4s. That should be in parentheses there. Good. And it checks. And so when you're talking yourself through it and you realize, oh, I made a mistake, and I make mistakes, I can go back and say, you know, where did I go wrong? And that's really important. Okay, we're going to try another one. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated, and then we're going to do a fraction problem. So here we've got on number 2, and I'm actually, this is just the second example. This isn't number 2 on the worksheet. So this is just, and actually I could probably tell you on the worksheet, you're not going to see it. So, well, actually you might. So I'm going to say this is problem, I'll go back to this is problem 5. So this is number 5, we'll call it 5. And 5 says I've got 7 p's minus 3 p's plus 4 in parentheses equaling negative 2 groups of 2 p's minus 1 plus 10. Okay, so there's a lot going on. It's really kind of busy. I do need to combine like terms. And so I can start on this left side. And I can say, okay, can I take this out of parentheses? Well, you got to be careful about that. If you want to do that, just understand that there's a negative 1 implied right here and that this needs to be distributed. Okay, so I understand that there's a 1 there. You don't see it there, but it's understood to be there. So it has to be distributed to each of the values inside. So this makes this a little more complicated problem. So once you put that negative 1 right here, that's 7p, and then this gets distributed to each of the values inside. So remember, it looks like a subtraction, but if you want to keep change, because this really messes with your world, you can keep change and understand that that's a negative 1 being distributed to each of the numbers inside. So keep change. That's negative 1 times 3p, which would be a negative 3p, and so it just depends on how you want to do this. So I can do plus a negative 3p plus, and then I'm going to distribute this over here. So this has been distributed there. And then negative 1 times a positive 4 is a negative 4, or you can put minus 4. So you can have minus 3p and minus 4 if you want, that's fine. I like to do my keep change just to help my insanity not go crazy there. So 7 p's plus 3 negative p's, that's really subtraction, or you might have put minus 3p here. So that's 4 p's plus negative 4, or if you want to, and you don't have to put this in parentheses, if that bothers you, you can. Or you put minus 4, it doesn't matter. And I'm lining my equal signs up. So that's the left side, as simplified as I can get it now. We're going to be doing some changing of sides here and combining like terms. So here again, we've got a distributive property going on as well. And if you want to keep change on the second part to make the subtraction addition, that can sometimes save your brain just a little bit. And so we've got negative 2 times 2p's. So negative 2 times a positive, the signs are different, would be a negative 4p. And I'm keeping this on the line here. And then I've got plus, and then I've got a negative times a negative, which is positive 2, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, so I really suggest you keep change. And so I'm going to add the 10 there. I'm going to combine like terms on this side. I've got the 2 and the 10 that can go together to make 12, and I have negative 4p here by itself. Okay, at this point, you're saying to yourself, well, what do I do now? Well, I've got negative 4p here and a positive 4p there. And so I'm going to have to do some changing. And I'm going to have to put these p's together. And so usually I like to try to get rid of the negative side, variables and put them on the other side to make them positive. Because I don't really want to put this over here and make it negative, more negative. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4p to the right-hand side, and I'm going to add 4p to the left-hand side. So 4 p's and 4 p's make 8 p's. So that's 8 of those p's there, and these go away. That leaves me 12 on the right, and then I have plus a negative 4 here. So now I want to go ahead and get rid of this negative 4. So the opposite of a negative 4 would be adding a positive 4 to both sides. And so these cancel out, and I get 8p equals 12 plus 4, which is 16. Oh, this makes life easy. Divide by 8, because the opposite of multiplication is division. And I wind up getting p equals, how many 8s make 16, and that is 2. Now this is a lot to plug back into, and I realize that, but it's always a good idea to try it. I'm going to go over here to the right. And I'm going to go back to the absolute original problem, which was 7p minus, and it didn't have the 1 there, although it's understood to be there, 3p plus 4 equaling -2 times 2p minus 1 plus 10. And that's kind of going into the corner there. Sorry about that. And so I'm going to plug in 2 for all my p's. That's a lot of p's. So I'm going to go 7 times 2 minus 3 times 2 plus 4 in parentheses equals -2 times, we've got 2 groups of 2 minus 1 plus 10. I'll try to move that over a little bit. Here, let's see if I can move it this way. So 7 2s is 14 minus, and inside of here I have 3 2s, which is 6 plus 4, which is 10. And if you want to do it from left to righty, that's fine. And then we have -2 times, this 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3, plus 10. And I'm still going, so 14 take away 10 would leave me 4. Over here, this is -2 times 3, which is a -6 plus 10. When the signs are different, it's negative. And 4 equals 4, because when I have 2 different signs, I subtract. And there's more positives than negatives, so my answer is 4, and it checks out. Now, I am doing this by hand. So the question is, can I put this into my calculator and check it? You're all required to show all of these steps, but if you want to do the check it step on your calculator, you're more than welcome to. So just kind of walking you through it, I would still suggest you at least write this down so that you have no issues with it. But it's, again, just using your parentheses on your calculator. And so in the case of this problem here, and I'm hoping you can see that okay, I've got 7, and I'll tilt it just a little bit, 7 parentheses, and then I have the 2, and I'm just following along with what I plugged in, parentheses, minus, parentheses, 3 parentheses, 2 parentheses, plus 4 close parentheses, and I am just following along on what I plugged in, and then I can hit equals, and it give me, whoa. Oh, I put too many parentheses in there. Let's try that again. 7 groups of 2. Yeah, it was going too many parentheses. And then, so 7, yeah, minus 3 groups, parentheses, open parentheses, 3 groups of 2, close parentheses, plus 4. I had too many parentheses on the last one. This should give me my answer, which is 4. And that's what you want to double check and make sure you're writing and typing the same thing. And I didn't do that. And then I can do the right hand side and double check it. So I'd be -2, and don't forget this is negative. And then groups of 2, groups of 2. And then it has -1 close parentheses. So it should look just like this step right here, plus 10, and it should give me my 4. So as long as both sides are giving me my answers are the same, they're both 4s, then we're okay. Okay. So built-in checking tool, good ways to check yourself. Make sure you're doing that. We're going to do one more last problem together, and this is on page 18 still, and I hope you're writing these steps down and going along with me because this will help your brain think things through. We are going to do a problem with a fraction involved because I know you're going to have fraction problems. So here's problem 7. And it says we have 1/2 of -4 plus 6x equaling 1/3 x plus 2/3 of x and 9, and we have distributive property we need to show here. So of course you're going to start off by distributing to each of the values inside of the parentheses. So 1/2 of -4 is a -2 plus 1/2 of 6x. Half of the value would be 1/2 of 6x is 3x's. And you're just halving. Over here, pretty simple. We have 1/3 x plus, and we're going to distribute the 2/3. So that would be 2/3 x plus. This one might be harder, but again, you have your calculator. So if you want to type in 2/3 times, we've got 2/3 times 9. We're distributing, and it gives you your answer of 6 right there. If you don't want to use the calculator, just a reminder, a little shortcut is that 3 divides into 9, and you could do the cross off step. 3 times and 3 times 2 is 6. So that's another way that you can do your cross canceling to help you out. All right, now we're going to combine like terms. There's nothing really I can do over here because that's an x and that's just a plain number. I can't combine those like terms. They're not alike. But over here I have a third x and 2/3 x. So 1/3 plus 2/3 makes 3/3, or actually just an x. So this is really not hard. I know a lot of you see the fractions and you start to panic. You copy the left the way it looks. Over here, this 1/3 and 2/3 together made 3/3, which equals 1 whole. That's how I got the 1x. Do I need the 1 in front? It's understood to be 1. So whether you write it or not, it doesn't matter. And so that's 1x. So I want to get rid of the smaller x's and put them on the other side. I don't want to subtract 3x. It'll become negative over here. So I'm going to subtract 1x from this side, and I'm going to subtract 1x from that side. These cancel out, leaving me 6 on the right. 3x minus 1x is 2x. And I have a -2 up front. So to get rid of the -2 up front, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get 2x equals what's 6 plus 2? It's 8. And then the last step is division, opposite of multiplication. And I get x equals 4. And I ran out of room right there. So I'm going to plug this 4 back in, and I'm really going to just use my handy dandy first equation right there just to type it in to see if my answer is correct. Let's see if I can move this up a little bit for you guys so you can see a little bit better on the screen. And so I've got my fraction, and I'm going to put 1 on top and the 2 on the bottom. I'm going to scroll over, parentheses. I have -4, and then I'm going to have plus 6 times the value of my x value, which I found x to be 4 down here, so I'm plugging in 4. And then that's the left side, but I need to close the parentheses. So you have an open and a closed thought right there. You want to make sure you have them both there. And then I'm going to see what it equals. So right now on the left-hand side, I have 10. And I want to make sure on the right-hand side I have 10. So I'm going to go through the next fraction over here, which is 1 on top and 3 on the bottom, times the value of x. So I'm going to put my 4 in parentheses because I got x to be 4. And then I'm going to do plus, and I've got 2/3. So I'm going to hit my fraction, 2/3. And I'm going to scroll over parentheses. And again, I had a 4 over here. So 4 plus 9. Don't do the crossing out that you showed there. And if I get 10, and I did, then I know both sides are equivalent, and I have solved appropriately for x, which is 4. Again, these take some time. As you notice, I'm pretty quick at it. You got to not go too fast because you do make mistakes if you do. Just watch yourself carefully. And again, it's got the check it step. Be sure you check yourself. And good luck to you. I think you'll do great.